Packers fans out here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for all, let's go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for all, you know. Green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.
Aloha and welcome back to the Ohana Packers Edition podcast, the podcast where your hosts are exchanging taking time being sick. Now it's my turn. Joe has tagged me in. And my current status mimics where the team is at right now. We're down, possibly out, but not quite there yet, and we're going to find out on Sunday. Weather is... just bear with me tonight. Weather's not great either, so I'm under the weather, and the weather is making my internet go in and out more than usual. But, Joe, after just a kick in the nuts on Monday night, after splitting nuts on top of a bar against the Panthers, how are we feeling going into this week's game?
Not much better, because this is the one game that I thought of being as like a trap game, and now that they're coming off of a 2-game losing streak, it's not making me feel any better. I'm hoping something change, but it's not going to, because they've already said that they're sticking with McManus as their frickin' kicker. So at this point, I don't know. All I can hope for is that maybe they'll reshuffle the offensive line just to give Jordan a little bit of a chance, because after seeing what he put up on Sunday, there's no doubt in my mind that he was panicking a lot, and that's all down to your offensive line. And now you're without your stalwart in Elton Jenkins. Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? How's that all going to work out? So I'm not feeling great about this one.
I know, and especially because the Giants went out and they're making a quarterback change. The big news today being that Mike Kafka, interim head coach Mike Kafka, named Jameis Winston as his starting quarterback for Sunday's game. So, like you said, this would be one if the Packers, especially if they had beaten the Eagles and you're riding kind of high. This is this would be scripted for a trap game, because team just fired its head coach, switching quarterbacks, all those things, and you get all those bounces. And now you have two teams that are, their seasons are both kind of on the brink, sort of similarly and sort of in different areas. But yeah, and we're recording this Wednesday night, and we'll get into the injury report, which is not much to go off of, honestly, today. 2 strikes, first out. As I was saying, we just don't have much off of what the Packers are going to look like on Sunday, because while they didn't have an official practice, they just did a walkthrough today, and those are such massive grain of salt kind of things. But we'll just get into how they listed the team today off of Wednesday.
Well, hang on. We got new sound effects for the injury report.
Yes.
Excuse me! I'm in need of medical attention!
The ultimate irony there is they probably do that probably does describe the Packers injury situation apropos to the moment. Granted, I know it's partly because they're coming off the Monday night game, but they did have just a walkthrough, so all practice is it's all an estimation. And so your DNPs, Nate Hobbs, no surprise there. Lucas, I don't know how much to put into that. LaFleur was ho hum on like how close he was. He did say he is more day to day ish than he was week to week ish, but not great that he wasn't listed as a as a limited participant on Wednesday. But we'll just have to track it as it goes through the rest of the week. But they could really use that because this is a good offensive line. The Giants don't do a lot of things well, but they're strong on both offensive lines or both sides of the line of scrimmage. And having Lucas back would be a really good help. The Giants, meanwhile, it's just unfortunate the Packers didn't actually practice today because I think this is the most DNPs I've ever seen.
Well, I was going to ask, did they
with,
have like a short week or something too? Because that's
no,
more like guesstimation stuff than it is actual.
Yeah, no, they played on Sunday, and I think they played early on Sunday. So like, not like international early, but I'm really sure what's going on there. I don't know if that's a fallout from the new coaching, the coaching situation or whatever. But you had we'll start with the limited participants because there were only four. Paulson Adebo, tight end. So DB Paulson Adebo, tight end Daniel Bellinger, linebacker Victor Dimukeje, and O lineman John Michael Schmitz were limited. And then the DNPs. So Jackson Dart is basically out at this point because he's concussed. A big reason why they lost to the Bears is that he got concussed late in that game, and Russ couldn't do shit for them. And then the rest of them are their kicker Graham Gano, linebacker Chauncey Golston, linebacker Neville Hewitt, lineman Evan Neal, safety Tyler Nubin, nose Raheem Nunez Roaches, linebacker Bobby Okereke, wide receiver Darius Slayton, and edge Kayvon Thibodeau, which would be a big one if he's unable to go on Sunday.
Well, so it's
so early in the week, though. Yeah, so it's so early in the week, but if Thibodeau, for whatever reason, can't go on Sunday, that would be a pretty big boon for a Packers O-line that is reeling at the moment. And really is just looking for anything.
Graham Gano, they did IR him earlier today, so he's done.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, because this is the second IR stint of the season already.
Yeah.
And just for this game, we're only going to play him this one time.
Right, but there's I don't even know the DNP on there because if I read right, they've already IR'd him again, so there's no way he makes it to this game. But yeah, they've got a lot of them listed there that kind of, if Evan Neal can't go, that kind of hurts him. Tyler Nubin can't go, that hurts him. Slayton, Thibodeau, those suck if they can't go. And then Jackson Dart, which in a way I'm kind of glad. In a way, I'm glad the Packers aren't hoping to have to face him, just because I feel like that would definitely mean it was a Tommy DeVito. Sorry, why did I say DeVito? Tommy DeVito type game, but now it's a Jameis Winston game, and the Packers have played him before and have rattled his cage, even with some shitty ass defenses the Packers have had. So with the injuries that they're dealing with the injuries the Packers are dealing with, this is another game where the defense is going to have to step up because who knows what the Packers offense is going to be able to do. He didn't list the limited participation, so I'll go ahead and list those real quick for the Packers. Again, he said this is just a walkthrough. So Edge Cooper, Enigbare, Golden, Parsons, Tom, Quay, Dontavian, and Savion all were listed as limited, with Romeo listed as a full, would have been a full participant. So Packers, while the list isn't looking great, are at least getting a little bit healthier, and if you want to say it that way. So Mike looks like he's back, so I'll let him take over again.
Yeah, and so kind of to get back into it, so just to keep an eye on for the Giants. So John Michael Schmitz, who was limited, that's their starting center. Obviously, Darius Slater is one of their starting receivers. Bellinger is their tight end 2, and kind of, well, that's the thing is we don't even know what their offense is necessarily going to look like. I don't expect them to just wholesale change everything to still operate similarly to how they have all season. But this is one of those you just don't know because you, you just can't ever really project how those kind of changes, when a coach changes, if they're just going to wing it in the first game or if they kind of stick to what they've got. So, and then on the
I would
defensive
think they would
side,
have to stick a little bit with what they got, and you would think Kafka would be able to
yeah,
run a little bit because there's no way you could have a complete system change in the middle of the season with an interim coach. So you'd think it'd have to be very
and
similar
no buy.
to
Yeah,
right. So you would have to think it would be very similar.
yeah,
It may look a little bit different with the play calling, but overall everything's probably going to look the same.
yeah. And honestly, like as we get into what to expect, we haven't seen Jameis play this year. Scatabo is out. Their running game outside of Scatabo and Dart has been meh at best. Like it's been really consistent, and so I'm just really curious how they're going to approach this game because I just don't know. Like I don't know if they're going to try and spread Green Bay out and lean on their O line. Even though Schmitz is on the injury report, this is a really good pass protecting O line. Two former Packers as both of their guards in John Runyon Jr. and Greg Van Roten. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they choose to go after Green Bay. And I think this is one where, you know, say it all the time, but this is really a game where you just really LaFleur, for the love of God, like this is the week to be aggressive, come out, take a shot play early, try to get on top of this team because you just don't want to let them hang around in this kind of an environment where they're reeling. They've had wholesale change, they don't have their quarterback, just fired their coach, and like they're at home. You're coming off a disappointing pair of games, and you just I know it's been completely against how the Packers have operated this season, but you've just got to get up early on this team and just exert your will on them. Like you can't go in just doing the whole like, oh, let's control the pace, let's control the tempo, let's do this, do that, all that kind of no, like so as we're back at a different angle because I'm having issues with the internet and stuff, but we're talking about the injuries and what are the Giants going to look like, and that's the big thing is we can extrapolate, project that they're not going to look too different from what they've been so far this season, just because, as Joe mentioned, it's hard to junk everything in the middle of the season when you go to an interim coach, especially when you don't have a bye in between. So I expect the Giants to still operate out of a lot of two tight end sets to, have some tie between their run and their pass game and all that kind of stuff. But it'll be really interesting to see how they choose to try and attack Green Bay in this game. And that's why my philosophy going into this one would be like, take the ball first and try and score a touchdown. Like, I know everyone's saying, isn't that always the goal? But I mean, really just try to hit a couple explosives, get Jordan in a rhythm, and get up on New York early. That's what's hurt them in these games against like the Panthers and the Browns is they just sort of tried to ease their way into the flow of a game, and it's just come back to bite them back in the ass because they just don't. And then they're playing catch up late in the game, and the Browns game they're up for most of it, but you play that sort of like bend don't break style on offense, and what it leaves you with is if you're unable to put up like a 3-score lead, you're one mistake away from being in a world of hurt and trouble, and that's what happened against the Browns, and then against the Panthers, and really the Eagles too. You just never got any sort of momentum on offense, and it just really sets you back. And Isaac Gregg joked on Twitter that if the Eagles don't score that touchdown, that game probably ends zip because LaFleur doesn't get desperate and go to hurry up and like open up the pass game. He probably just thinks we're still within a field goal. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing because we are like we're seeing midfield and we're just 1 or 2 plays away from getting, into the low red zone and having a real scoring opportunity. So they just changed their whole approach. I've said it. I don't know. And I even went back and forth with Michael Parsons' brother, Terrence, and that's my thing. Is like LaFleur should be able to. Like, he's done it in the past. He's done it his whole tenure in Green Bay. But for whatever reason, this season, he's just doesn't seem to fancy the need to be aggressive and get on his opponent. And I know that some people are saying, like, he doesn't trust the O-line and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, yeah, but that honestly doesn't support the argument that you should run the ball, because if you can't trust your O-line to just block a man on a man, it's like you can't run the ball. And they're just getting beat by the fundamentals and off the line of scrimmage. And it's like, and then it's the whole, like, we don't trust, we don't want to put all the pressure on Jordan, so we're going to run it twice. But that's what you do when you just hand him the live grenade on 3rd and 8+, and his O-line can't pass protect that long. So, like, that's my mindset going into this game. How are you seeing this one from your point of view, Joe?
Well, I've had time to kind of think about the Eagles game, and I know I said when we did the review for it, I kept talking about Jordan and how he looked, how he seemed to regress, and I got to wondering if both him and LaFleur LaFleur panicked because he doesn't have Tucker anymore, and you could kind of see that with after Tucker got injured. And then I wondered if Jordan kind of started panicking after Romeo went out, because we all know Romeo's his safety valve. So I got to wondering if, something like that happened. So according to what we're seeing, it's trending like Romeo avoided any kind of major injury, so he's going to be able to at least play somewhat. But it kind of reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. If you took Love and LaFleur and put them together, it reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, because when something happens, they panic. And I still give LaFleur a lot of credit, because even though a lot of people are still ripping on him for not paying attention, quote unquote, paying attention to the game and looking at his play card and doing stuff like that, I give him credit because he was at least trying to come up with something. You could tell he was at least trying to make an effort to adjust to things. Was it too late? Was it not too late? Whatever. I don't know. I can't answer that question, but at least he was willing to try something new. But then I look at Jordan, and Jordan looked like he was panicking. 1, because he was getting pressure in his face all game. 2, because Romeo went out, so he didn't have that target. And, if we go into this game, like, I hope that they'll at least try to reshuffle the line now that Elton's out. I know they'll end up sticking Ryan in for Tom, or not Tom, for Elton, Tom right tackle. I'm hoping they finally are going to get tired of putting Jordan Morgan out there at a guard position. So, who knows? But
just side of the ball wise, there's just a complete lack of trust in this O-line at this point, because Jacobs basically admitted, like, he got spooked by the Eagles, like, whether they guessed and got lucky or whether they really knew the call and the look and stuff. Like, he just completely had no faith in the line to block anything up. And as a lot of people pointed out, like, if he just runs to the left, it's something that, like, there's something there, but he tries to, like, Superman it and bounce it back to the right, all the way back to the right and outside. And it's like, he's not trusting the line. I think part of it is, like you said, like, part of it got exacerbated when Dobbs left the game in the second half. But, like, it just looked like Jordan was like, oh, what? I got to throw on 3rd and long? And, like, I'm already seeing holes when we try to run the ball, and now you're expecting me to throw behind this and stuff. And I agree with you. Like, that was the part of his game that I can't give him a pass on, so to speak, where it's like, I can reconcile a lot of stuff, but it's like, I understand that your protection up front isn't great, but you can't play skittish that early. Like he and that's like, as much as I want to say like you've got to give him more than 6 throws, it's not good either that he looks that skittish when he only has 6 throws and a couple runs in there, kind of thing. So that has to change as well. And as much as I say like LaFleur has to trust Love, Love has to. I mean, he always does. Like the whole Pittsburgh game was him just taking hits to the chops and bring the ball downfield. But it was a little interesting that like he just wanted no part of that against the Eagles, and I'm not sure if there's anything lingering there, or like just sort of
Well,
PTSD from like injuring himself last year in week 1 or whatever. But
did you
yeah,
get to go back and watch the game any?
no, no.
Okay. I know he took a hit on his hand that he had surgery on because they said there was blood. The sideline reporter said there was blood going down it, so they were doctoring him up. So I'm wondering if that made him a little bit skittish, that he was worried about it. But it's like, Jordan, that's your non-throwing hand.
Right.
you still got the throwing hand that you can do things with. It's not like you're ambidextrous and you can throw with both hands here, bud. So I don't know if that maybe did something to him. I don't remember at what part of the game that happened. I just remembered they talked about him having to get doctored up on that. And same way with Josh Jacobs. He was having to get doctored up because he had like a cut on his arm and he had a cut somewhere else that they were kind of fixing up. So you got to wonder if they're both getting tired of the mess on the offensive line. But I don't know. It just, something's got to be done there. At
Yeah.
least split up. Throw Kennard out there, throw Belton out there, Jacob Monk, whatever it is that you need to do, throw somebody out there other than what you've got, because what you got is not working. If Banks isn't
Yeah.
fully healthy, get him the hell out of there. If
Yeah.
if Tom isn't healthy, get him the hell out of there. Because obviously it's not helping their cause.
Yeah. That was one of the sore spots from the game too. Is that Zach Tom led the team in pressures allowed? I think, or he led the team or second in pressures allowed, and like just can't have that from your right tackle, especially one that's as good as Zach is. So, just sounds like such a cop out answer, but everyone literally everyone needs to play better on offense. And it is the old adage of like everyone's got to row in the same direction, and just too often this season there's too many moments where guys are rowing and you have like 9 or 10 guys rowing in the same direction. You got one guy who's rowing off beat or wrong direction or whatever kind of thing, or taking a break, and it's like and it just feels like this whole season, even the game that they've been doing well, anytime someone has had a lapse, it's been magnified. Even like the Detroit game, you get up 10-3, and then like Reed has a drop or whatever, and then you get the Evan Williams interception, and then the drive bogs down kind of thing and stuff. And like I said, it has been one of the, we talked about it, like we keep harping on it that we talked about these things in the Washington game, and it's like, well, they're doing so many things well, they're gonna get this other stuff figured out. And not only have they not done that, those issues have persisted and metastasized, honestly. So
The Browns
I
game
know that
exposed it all. Because with what they were doing with what the Browns defense was doing to the Packers, it exposed everything. So now teams are doing the exact same thing that the Browns did.
Yep. So, and then defensively, like I said, this is a game. So the Giants do have a strong defensive line, but in all honesty, like this is one where Micah Parsons has this like stellar track record against the Giants. I think he averages like almost 2 sacks a game against them. You're gonna hear the whole he's never lost to the Giants in a game he's played in. So like, and I'm so over those kind of stats this season. Like I tweeted during the game, like, or after the game, you can stop putting up LaFleur's November record because he's 0-2 this season, and that's the only November record that matters right now. But I do expect Micah to have a good game because he's played against all these guys that the Giants have and had success. And just the little bit of concern with both Quay and Edge on the injury report. Quay's been on there a couple weeks with the calf. Edge is new, I believe, popping up with his injury. So you do get a little concerned with that, but you should be
No,
able
I
to
think
have
Edge has
success
been on
against.
it the last couple weeks.
Maybe last, yeah, I'm kind of blanking on just because we recorded the episode and they hadn't practiced yet. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
like,
Edge was on it last week.
oh, there you go. And Quay was on from before the Panthers game. So, yeah.
Yeah, Edge was on it last week, and that was it. And then Quay's been on it for a bit. So
Yeah, I mean, I hate to make it sound simple, but offensively, you just have to play better. Like, there's no like magic pixie dust or anything like that. They have enough, especially if they can get Golden back. They should have enough to look loads better than they have the past 2 weeks. Like that. That's the thing that's frustrating. Is like I understand that the Eagles haven't been that dominant this year. On either side of the ball, and you just kind of rolled over and looked like a team that's like tanking already in terms of how you operated on offense against them. And
and
then
this isn't the
against the
year to be
Panthers,
tanking.
huh?
This isn't the year to be tanking when you don't have 2 first-round picks the next
Yeah,
2
I
years.
know. I know. So, and then against the Panthers, you looked like the team that, if you had the two teams like unlabeled, you would have thought the Packers were the Panthers, how they operated in that game. So you got to just totally reshuffle the deck. And, like, we're in the third quarter of the season, and they've got it because one of the adages is like you find out who you are by like Thanksgiving. Right now, they're a really disappointing team heading into Thanksgiving territory. So you've got a couple weeks before that, but you gotta get this shit figured out and turned around now. Like you do not have time. Yeah, that's the and some people kind of lament. They kind of say like, oh, but the playoff standings don't matter in week 10, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, that's exactly where the Packers have lost the North the past 2 seasons. Is like, oh, like they could have won this game, they should have won this game, but overall they're still a good team. And you can look at the advanced statistics, but it's like the advanced statistics are all fine and dandy, but like when you drop games you're supposed to win or have a chance to win in the case of Monday, and you just completely lay eggs at key moments when you should be turning it on and proving you're a good team, like all you're doing is making your path to any sort of playoff contention more difficult. You're just narrowing the breadth of options that you have in terms of like winning the division, getting. I know there's only one bye week in the 17 playoff format, but you're pretty much nuking yourself out of that conversation at this point. And now you're gonna have to play like extra games. Now you're in, again, I know the season doesn't end now, but if it did, you're exactly who you've been the last 2 years, sneaking in the back door as the 7th seed. So it's time to button it up. And like I said, like I don't even need it to look pretty. I just need it to look functional. Like this offense just has to look functional again. Like that's the problem. Is like it's not even a matter of like, oh, their mistakes are like turnovers or like turning it over on downs in the red zone. They're like they're struggling to cross midfield. And the thing that so many people keep talking about is like they're so good by the advanced statistics, but when you watch the Packers play, you're like, this is the team that's like second in EPA and fourth in advanced offensive statistics and stuff. And it's like, this looks like a JV operation. Like, and everything just looks so difficult. And LaFleur has to figure that out. Like, and everyone's like, oh, they're still so good on third down, even though they had a bad game against the Eagles. It's like they're never going to live that way. You just cannot continue to operate in 3rd and 7+ all the time. And the teams are, like you said, teams are starting to play them to that, and you just can't continue to operate in a manner where you're just setting second downs on fire or even a lot of first downs on fire. So we'll see. We'll see if they adjust, but I don't like my whatever attitude is like they could have adjusted. They had so many opportunities to adjust the past month, and like they kind of let Jordan getting white hot in the second half of Pittsburgh really cover over a lot of how that first half of that game is a lot of the same that we've seen from them since the bye week. So you got to figure it out.
They do. There's no other way around it. They've got to figure out what to do, and it all starts up front. And you know, I hate to beat a dead horse with it, but it does. It all starts up front, because if you can't block for the run, you're not going to get any rushing yards. If you can't block for the pass, you're not going to do anything there either. So this is where, and I didn't watch any of the fucking press conference because, like I said, I'm so sick of press conferences. But it sounded like he made it, you know, again, cliches. Well, I've got to do a better job of this, this, and this. Well, why haven't you already? Why haven't you done something to change it up? You know,
And it's that part. Like, I don't doubt that Matt is looking for answers and trying, but like I said earlier, his problem is I think he keeps looking under the same rug, under the same rock, hoping that his like
listening to the
magic.
same people that have caused him
Yeah,
problems the last couple of years.
he's wishing on the same star that's not a wishing star, and it's like, dude, there's a lot of stars that this roster gives you a lot of opportunities, and you continue to only like he only has this like his blinders on, and he thinks that there's only one way to skin a cat, and it's like, Matt, like, you're supposed to be this wonder kid, like, you gotta adjust, like, you've got to change your mindset, you have to literally open your eyes to all the other options you have, and he better hurry, because like I said, the odds are he's going to be the coach next year, and they're going to make the playoffs, and who knows what they'll be by then. But if he continues to shove his head up where the sun don't shine and bang it against the same wall, he's not going to make it through Thanksgiving as the head coach of this team. Like, it's that plain and simple. Like, he's just setting himself up for failure by continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again.
For sure. And this is where I wish I did kind of live in Green Bay, because I know right exactly where their offices are, and there are windows that face the parking lot, and I would stand out there with signs saying, "Do something, Matt," just to see what because that's the kind of thing that they need to get a kick in their ass. There's no more time for a pass.
Yeah.
The
Or it's
system's
time to pass the ball.
well, yeah, but
No,
there's
I know.
time to, you don't get any more hall passes. This is it.
Like, it makes these episodes boring for us because we can talk all we want about how we want them to do X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, you and I, we kind of just get exasperated, and we're like, yeah, but are they going to do it? The track record so far says no. So we're kind of like, well, they're going to go to, they think that they have like the secret Nestle or the secret Coca-Cola recipe, but I don't think they've got the right one. I think they have one of the failed trials. And
We already
Matt
know
has to
that they're
understand.
not going to change anything up, because LaFleur has already stated that McManus is his kicker.
Yep.
So
But
right now, if that's the case, why even have Haversick on the roster?
yeah, I have no idea what the point is. Like, if you were so hell bent on that's your guy, like, then why haven't you cut Haversick? Like, it from both sides of it, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, it really just makes absolutely zero sense. As you've noted, we don't want to keep beating the same horses past death anymore. I know you have another new soundbite to use for
Yeah,
our
we can go
segment.
ahead and move on.
Yeah.
Never tell me the odds.
So, over-unders for the week. I did come up with a few of them, but it's getting to the point where I don't even want to do them because either I'm picking the wrong ones, or basically a little behind the scenes magic is I come up with these off the top of my head. I don't go to any sites. For one, I'm at work most of the time when I come up with them, and I can't get on any kind of gambling sites on their computers because it's all blocked. So I can't get the over-unders from anywhere except off the top of my head. And it just seems like every week Mike's been doing a good job of keeping track of these, and there's just a bunch of red up and down the list because we can't even come up anywhere close with it. So
I didn't even updating last week's one because it was such a. I think the only thing we actually got right was the tush push one. Oh no, we got it wrong. I lied.
no, we got that one wrong. We got the Micah one wrong. We might have with Musgrave. It would have been close.
No, we didn't.
No, I did.
You were closer.
Because what did he get?
You had the under. You're right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at it wrong. You called under, so you were right.
And then you had the Romeo one right. Because you called the under on that, and he only had like 5 yards.
Yeah.
So
we were right on which way we called it, but not for the number we thought of.
yeah. So it's one of those things that it's getting so hard to come up with that I'm just starting to throw random things out there. So first one, I'm sticking with the Musgraves over under 35.5 receiving yards.
I'm going to go over again just because the Giants are potentially missing starting linebackers. Their linebackers aren't that good in coverage anyway. And this, especially if Thibodeau can't go, this is a week where you want to get your tight end involved.
And they're going to have to anyway, because we know that this offense runs through good tight end play. So, they're going to have to get Musgraves. And Musgraves was actually doing pretty good in the game about getting open. It's just for some reason Love was not seeing it. There were a couple of different times that he could have hit Musgrave and had, I think even one of them was the long shot to Watson that bounced off Watson's helmet. I think he had Musgraves open and could have nailed that one, but again, it was a panic. So I'm going to go over just because I'm hoping that we can get something going through the tight ends. My next one is, again, this is an obvious one just because of how much they force it. Over under 75.5 rushing for Josh Jacobs.
I got under. I think that if they're not going to shuffle anything other than just putting Ryan in at center, I think they're going to have a hard time moving the ball on the ground.
And I'm going to go over just because, like I said, they keep force feeding him, and he's going to do what Josh Jacobs does, and he's going to get his yardage. It's going to be a hard way of getting his yardage. It's not going to be an easy one where he's got a mile-long hole to run through. It's going to be he's stolen a soul or bounced off some guy and ran for another 15, 20 yards. Then my last one is, and I can't even use it as a Micah one, so I had to move it to defense as a whole, 3.5 sacks.
I'm going under. I think, if anything, they'll pressure Jameis into some mistakes, but I don't think they're going to get 4 sacks.
Now, see, I got to think, I'm hoping this can be the reverse jinx type thing, and I'm going to go over and say they have 4 because we know what Jameis is. Jameis is going to make a ton of mistakes. He may put up a ton of yards on you, but he's going to make a ton of mistakes. And I think they're going to be able to get him when he rolls out or he's not paying attention or, he's overthinking something. And then if the Giants are missing Neal and their center and, whatever else that they're missing on that offensive line, they're going to be just as bad as the Packers are on that offensive line. And if they can if Halfley can stick to the game plan they had against the Eagles, I think because they had a ton of pressures on Hurts, they just couldn't get to Hurts because Hurts can move a little bit better. Jameis isn't a Hurts. Jameis can move, but he's nowhere near what Jalen Hurts can do.
No, he's more like Jordan, like that kind of move, but not like a elite runner.
And he's a little bit older too, so I'm going to go over. I'm going to say they hit about 4, but that's about it.
Honestly, like I said, we'll just be spinning in circles. That's all I've got for this week. Anything else on your mind?
No, I'm just going to reiterate that if the Packers do lose this game, I blame it all on Matt Ramage.
Got to get that last one in there because, I know. I saw his tweet where he's like, I saw Ramage's tweet where he's like, well, at least since I'm going, at least if they do lose, I won't have to see Twitter meltdowns.
Yeah. So other than that, no, I really don't have anything. Just make it a good game. I am pissed off because it's another one of those games where it's only available in like Wisconsin.
Oh,
So I've got to sail the seven seas this weekend and to just be able to watch the game. Unless somebody's got another idea and I don't have YouTube TV anymore because we found out, and this is a rant. We found out that they were double charging my mom for ever since the first month that she signed up for it.
well, that's messed up.
So I had to go through a whole mess just to get them to change it. And then I didn't request them to cancel YouTube TV, but they canceled it anyway. They canceled it and gave her a refund for a bunch of money. It's like, okay, well, that just means I don't want YouTube TV. But even if I did, I'm not paying for Sunday Ticket because that's just too much friggin' money to pay for that junk service. So I'll just find me a good stream somewhere.
But yep, that's gonna do it for us tonight. We'll just call it before my phone runs out of battery.
And Mike falls
thank you for
over dead
joining us.
from being sick.
That too. But yeah, we just want to thank you for joining us tonight. Please check out the website, ohanapackers.org. Please check out the merch. Hopefully the Packers will play good again and Joe can put some stuff back on there. It's been a few weeks since he's come up with anything because the team's been doing so bad.
Actually, there is stuff up there. I just haven't been promoting it as much. There's the salute to service one that I put up during the game with Micah, a little caricature of Micah saluting a Packers themed flag. And then I do have a green and gold tiki with a cheesehead hat up over there for merch. So there is stuff. I just, like Mike said, with them not winning, I haven't been really advertising it much.
It's a little hard to sell stuff when the team sucks. So start winning, Packers. But please follow us on your social medias at Ohana_Packers on Twitter, at Ohana Packers Edition on Instagram. Search Ohana Packers Edition on Facebook. Please follow us there so that we can hit the 100 subscribers to live stream there. Please follow the podcast on your favorite podcasting apps. Like and subscribe. And, I keep saying it, Joe's doing a great job of reaching out before all the episodes. Please respond there to get your questions, comments, thoughts in, and we'll go over those if anyone posts anything. We have in the past. There just haven't been many. So please, standing ask us anything, honestly, and we'll go from there. But
literally
the Packers,
anything. If you've listened to the show long enough, I'll answer almost anything. I don't hide. I don't hold back on anything.
That's damn sure. But the Packers look to get back in the win column. It's been almost a month at this point, in terms of number of weeks. And the time is now. Like, some people are like, oh, it's this, it's that. You lose one more game, you're topping yourself out at a certain, you can only top out at 12 wins, and then you leave yourself no way to, you haven't played the bulk of your division game. So the Packers have to strap up, nut up, and get back on the winning side of things. We'll see how they do. We'll have our recap show on Sunday. That'll come out on Tuesday. Until then, go Pack, go, and aloha.
Packers fans out here to stay. Cheeseheads green and gold all day. Jordan Love lead us to the bay. Every game we find a way. Green Bay hustle, grind it up. Hit the field, we don't bluff. Touchdown dances, feel the love. Jordan's got that MVP stuff. It's time for all bets go. Packers bringing that show. It's time for all green and gold gonna glow. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown. Lambeau Field, our sacred ground. Feel the vibe, hear the sound. Packers fans so loud and proud. Jordan Love, he's wearing the crown.